Hello, everybody. So today I'm going to continue with Module 1, Lesson 1.2. We're on page 13 of the 6th grade Go Math middle school textbook. So Lesson 1.2 is comparing and ordering integers. And the essential question is, how do we do that? So let's look at the activity. So comparing positive and negative integers. The Westfield Soccer League ranks its teams using a number line called the win-loss combined record. A team with more wins than losses will have a positive combined record, and a team with fewer wins than losses will have a negative combined record. The table shows the total win loss combined record for each team at the end of the season. Okay, so in other words, if you see a positive number, that means they won more games than they lost. If you see a negative number, they lost more games than they won. Okay, simple as that. All right, so graph the win loss combined record for each team on the number line. All right, so let's go with point A, Sharks. Sharks won and lost the same amount of games. Okay. The Jaguars won four more games than they lost. The Badgers lost four more games than they won. The Tigers lost six more games than they won. The Cougars won two more games than they lost. The Hawks lost two more games than they won. And the Wolves won six more games than they lost. So, which team had the best record in the league? Well, the Wolves did. They're farthest right on the number line. So the further we go to the right on the number line, the greater the win-loss record. All right, which team had the worst record? Okay, so this time we want to go the opposite, and which one's the furthest to the left? D. So that was the Tigers. All right, so we can tell by just looking at the number line, D is the farthest point to the left. Explain what the data tell you about the win-loss records of the teams in the league. Well, there are three teams that had losing records. The Badgers, the Tigers, and Hawks lost more games than they won. The Jaguars, Cougars, and Wolves won more games than they lost. The Sharks won and lost an equal amount of games. Okay, so these three teams had negative win-loss numbers. Jaguars, Cougars, Wolves had positives, and the Sharks were zero. So that means their number of wins and losses were the same amount. All right, so let's go to page 14. Ordering positive and negative integers. All right, so when you read a horizontal number line, that's one that goes from left to right. The numbers are in order from least to greatest. So like negative 10 here on this number line, that's the least value. the greatest value on this number line is 10. Okay, so the further you go right, the greater. The further you go left, the smaller the value. All right, so Fred recorded the following golf scores during his first week at a golf academy. Negative numbers represent scores below par. That's a standard score. In golf, a lower score beats a higher score. All right, so graph Fred's scores on the number line and then list the numbers in order from least to greatest. So they listed here -5 for Thursday, -3 for Sunday, -2 for Tuesday, -1 for Friday, 0 for Saturday, 3 for Wednesday, and 4 for Monday. And so if we read from left to right, to list the scores in order from least to greatest. So the scores would be -5, -3, -2, -1, 0, 3, and 4. And since we're talking about golf scores, in this case, the further we go to the right, the worse the score is because you want a low score. So his best score was this -5. All right. So graph the values in each table on a number line, then list the numbers in order from least to greatest. All right, -5, 4, 0, -3, -6, and 2. And now we have to order them from least to greatest. The least value is the farthest to the left. So -6. That would be followed by -5, and then -3, then 0, then 2, and finally 4, which is the greatest value. All right, so change in stock prices. So on this one, that's lost $6, and this one gained $4. This one didn't gain or lose any money. All right, so elevation in meters, how high or how low we're going. So 9 feet, in meters, 9 meters, -1 meter, -6 meters, 2 meters, -10 meters, 0 meters, 5, and 8. Okay, so basically we go left to right? We're putting these in orders from least to greatest. So -10, -6, -1, 0, 2, and 5, followed by 8 and 9. All right. Let's look at page 15. Okay, inequalities. Well, an inequality is basically in meaning not, equal meaning equal to, so not equal. Is a statement that two quantities are not equal. The symbols less than and greater than are used to write inequalities. The symbol written this way means is greater than, so some number is greater than another. Written this way, some number is less than another number. And we can use number lines to help us write inequality. So let's look at example 2. In 2010, Sacramento, California received 23 inches in annual precipitation. In 2011, the city received 17 inches in annual precipitation. In which year was there more precipitation? And so we basically can graph 23 and 17 on the number line. 23 is to the right of 17, so 23 is greater than 17. And as an inequality, we would write 23 greater than 17. Now, we've been doing these kind of comparisons since, second grade probably, right? Except we're just using the word inequality, all right? 17 is to the left of 23, so it's less than. So there's two ways we could write this. We could say 23 is greater than 17, or we could say 17 is less than 23. Both are true. So there was more precipitation in 2010. All right, B, write two inequalities to compare -6 and 7. Well, -6 is less than 7, or 7 is greater than negative 6. How about comparing negative 9 and negative 4? Well, negative 4 is greater than negative 9. Remember, the further you go right, the greater the value. The further left you go, the less the value is. So negative 9 is less than negative 4. All right, so use the number line to help you. Negative 10, negative 2. There's negative 10. There's negative 2. Negative 10 is to the left of negative 2. So that means it's less than. Negative 6 compared to 6. Negative 6 is to the left of 6. So negative 6 is less than 6. Negative 7, negative 8. Negative 7 is to the right of 8. So negative 7 is greater than negative 8. All right, write two inequalities to compare negative 2 and negative 18. Well, negative 2 can be considered greater than negative 18, or you can say negative 18 is less than negative 2. And compare 39 and negative 39. 39 is greater than negative 39, or the opposite, negative 39 is less than 39. Page 16. Graph the temperature for each city on the number line. All right, city A, negative 9 degrees in Fahrenheit, negative 9 degrees Fahrenheit. City B, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. City C, negative 2 degrees. D was 0, and E was 4. So which city was the coldest? Furthest to the left would be the coldest on a thermometer, so city A. Negative 9. Which city was the warmest? The furthest to the right would be the highest temperature. So city B at 10 degrees. All right, put these numbers in order from least to greatest. Which number would be furthest to the left? Which one is the largest negative value? Negative 9. So that's going to be the smallest. Now we have negative 6 and negative 3. So negative 6 would be next, and then followed by negative 3. Then 0, and now we're followed by the positive numbers. And so we have 1, 4, and 8. So 1, 4, 8. Okay. Negative 65, 34, 7, negative 13, 55, 62, negative 7. Well, let's deal with the negatives first. The larger the negative, the smaller the value. And we have three negatives, negative 65, negative 13, negative 7. Negative 65 would be the farthest to the left. Negative 13 would be next, and then negative 7. All right, so we have four positive values. The larger number to the farther you go along the number line to the right, the greater the value. So 62 is going to be the greatest. Of the positive numbers, the one that's furthest to the left is 7. And then 34. And then 55. And finally 62. All right, right. Two inequalities compare negative 17 and negative 22. Negative 17 is closer to 0 than negative 22, so it's greater than negative 22. So negative 17 is greater than negative 22. Or you could say negative 22 is less than negative 17. Keep in mind, the further you go to the left on the number line, which negative 22 would be to the left of negative 17, the smaller the value. All right, compare. We gotta have a negative compared to a positive. Well, a positive is always going to be bigger than a negative. We have negative, negative. The value that's closer to 0 is greater. Negative 1 is closer. Negative 8, negative 4. Negative 4 is closer to 0. So negative 8 is less than negative 4. Negative 2, negative 6. Which one's closer to 0? Negative 2. So negative 2 is greater. All right, compare the temperatures for the following cities. Write less than or greater than. Okay, so we're going to compare Alexandria and Winona. Alexandria is negative 3, and Winona is 2. Well, negatives are always less than positives, so negative 3 is less than 2. Redwood Falls is 0. International Falls is negative 4. Okay, now 0 is 0, so negative 4 is going to be to the left of the 0, so 0 is greater than negative 4. All right, 10. Give a real-world example of how integers are used. Explain what 0, negative integers, and positive integers mean in this situation. Describe how you might compare two such integers. Well, okay, let's keep this idea of the thermometer. Okay. So positive integers would be above 0 degrees Celsius, and negative integers would be below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, so 0 degrees would be freezing. All right, number 11 on page 17. Multiple representations. A hockey league tracks the plus-minus records for each player. A plus-minus record is the difference in even strength goals for and against the team when a player is on the ice. The following table lists the plus-minus values for several hockey players. A. Jones, negative 8. B. Sutter, 4. E. Simpson, 9. L. Mays, minus 3. R. Tomas, minus 4. And S. Klatt, 3. So let's graph these on the number line. So A. Jones, negative 8. Sutter, 4. Simpson, 9. Mays, negative 3. Tomas, negative 4. And Klatt, 3. Which player has the best plus-minus record? Well, which one's the furthest to the right? Simpson. All right, astronomy. The table lists the average surface temperatures of some planets. Write an inequality to compare the temperatures of each pair of planets. Uranus and Jupiter. So negative 197, and Jupiter is negative 110. Well, negative 197 is farther to the left, so it's going to be less than negative 110. Mercury and Mars. We'd be comparing 167 to negative 65. So 167 is farther to the right, so it's greater than negative 65. And arrange the planets in order of average surface temperature from greatest to least. So which planet's the hottest, right? So I look here, and the largest is Mercury. It has the hottest temperature. It's going to be followed by Earth. And then Mars. And then Jupiter. Uranus. And Neptune. All right, for a stock market project, 5 students each pretended to invest money in a different stock. They tracked gains and losses in the value of their stock for 1 week. In the following table, a gain is represented by a positive number, and a loss is represented by a negative number. All right, so graph the students' results. So Andre was at 7. Bria was at a negative 2. Carla was at a negative 5. Daniel was at a 2, and Ethan was at a 4. What are the results list from least to greatest are negative 5, negative 2, 2, 4, 7. If you need to put that by persons, Carla, Bria, Daniel, Ethan, Andre. All right, page 18. Geography with negatives and positives. The table lists the lowest elevation for several countries. A negative number means the elevation is below sea level. A positive number means the elevation is above sea level. And we're going to compare them using less than or greater than. Argentina and United States. Argentina, negative 344 or 344 feet below sea level, and the United States, negative 281. So which one is farther down? Which one's more below sea level? So United States is higher. So that means that Argentina is lower. The Czech Republic at 377 and Hungary at 249 feet. So these are both above sea level, and 377 would be farther to the right. So it's greater than 249. Okay, Hungary and Argentina. Well, Argentina is below sea level. Hungary is above sea level. So Hungary is higher. Which country in the table has the lowest elevation? Well, which one has the greatest negative? Argentina or United States or Australia? Argentina. Right, number 20. Golf scores represent the number of strokes above or below par. A negative score means that you hit a number below par, while a positive score means that you hit above a number above par. The winner in golf has the lowest score. Angela's score was negative 5, and Lisa's score was negative 8. Who won the game? Lisa. Negative 8 is less than negative 5. Okay. And 21. Jorge wrote the inequality negative 12 is less than negative 3 to compare the temperatures at 9 and 9. It was colder at 9 p.m. than at 9 a.m. It was colder at 9 p.m. than at 9 a.m. So the colder temperature is negative 12. So negative 3 would have been the warmer temperature. So 9 a.m., negative 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, negative 12 is colder temperature. That was at 9 p.m. So that means negative 3 degrees Fahrenheit was at 9 a.m. All right, 22. There are three numbers, A, B, and C, where A is greater than B and B is greater than C. Describe the positions of the numbers on a number line. A is greater than B, B is greater than C. Okay, if B is greater than C, it is smaller than A. So A is farthest to the right. C is farthest to the left. And B is in between. Okay, how do I know A is the farthest to the right or the greatest number? Well, it says A is greater than B and B is greater than C. Okay, so B is bigger than C, so C would be smallest, then B, and B is smaller than A. All right, and 23. Order negative 3, 5, 16, and negative 10 from the least to greatest. Then order the same numbers from closest to 0 to farthest from 0. Describe how your lists are similar. Would this be true if the numbers were negative 3, 5, negative 16, and 10? All right, well, so let's start. Least to greatest, negative 10, negative 3, 5, 16. Then order the same numbers from closest to 0 to farthest from 0. Okay, so 3 is closest to 0, then 5, then 10, then 16. Describe how your lists are similar. 16 ends both lists because it is the greatest number and furthest from 0. All right. Would this be true if the numbers were negative 3, 5, negative 16, and 10? Well, let's see. So in that case, we'd have negative 10. No, we wouldn't. We'd have negative 16, negative 10, negative 3, 5. And then closest to 0 would be 3, 5, 10, 16. No, the list wouldn't be similar because here negative 16 would be the smallest value, but it would be the furthest from 0. Okay, so here we have 16 at the end, it's both. So positive 16 was the largest value, and it's also furthest from 0. In this case, I didn't put the negatives. Negative 3 is closest to 0, 5 is next, negative 10, then 16. In this list, 16 is at the right, at the end, and it's also at the end of list 2 because it's the greatest value and farthest from 0. In this case, negative 16 is to the left, the far left, because it is the smallest value or the least value in the list. But if you went to the right and compared it 0 to closest to 0, negative 16 would be at the end because it's the farthest from 0. All right, so that's it for lesson 1.2. So in our next, or when I see you next, we'll talk about lesson 1.3.